My name is Emily Reynolds. I have the good fortune to serve with this distinguished group of individuals on the board, and am currently serving as vice chairman. And I'm particularly excited about what we'll hear in the course of the next hour. This is the first time, I think, in a while that we've gathered some of our student leadership to talk to us about what's happening on campus, to give us some feedback as a board. And after all, at the end of the day, these are our customers. These are the folks for whom we work each and every day. Their success is our success, and their success is the ultimate success of this great state of Tennessee. So, Ashley, we thank you for gathering the group today. We'll look forward to introductions. But again, I think this next hour will be very insightful. So we thank you all for joining us today. Chancellor?
I'm sure, and I'll just add my thanks to you for being here. This is very exciting for us, and I think will be extraordinarily helpful. As the Vice Chair says, we are, in fact, about students, and sometimes the distance seems to be great between us and you, and this is a chance to close that distance and really get a much better understanding. And we very much appreciate Regent Humphrey for helping facilitate this. But at this point, I'd like to recognize Randy Schulte with our Office of Academic Affairs to make some introductions and get us going. Randy.
Thank you, Chancellor Morgan. Good morning, Chairman Reynolds, members of the board. It's indeed a privilege and a pleasure to be here, and an especial privilege and pleasure to introduce members of our Student President's Council who are here today. And it's been an ongoing opportunity for me to work with this group for the past 7 years. They meet quarterly. In fact, we'll meet again tomorrow to go through the statute-required process of selecting nominees for the TBR student regent and the THEC student representative. So we have several student presidents who are here who are not on the panel, and I'm going to introduce those 4 people to you right now and ask them to stand as I do so. We have with us Quentin Murray, president from Cleveland State. Quentin. We have with us Michael Wallace from ETSU. Mike. Andrew France from Pellissippi State, and also Nelson Moore from Volunteer State. Now I'd like to turn the podium over to our sitting student regent, Ashley Humphrey, and again thank her for coordinating this event and this opportunity to be here at the board meeting with all of you. Ashley?
Good morning. I just want to start by thanking each of you for the opportunity to share one of the most rewarding aspects of my job as student regent. As some of you may not be aware, one of my responsibilities includes serving on the Student President's Council as an ex officio member. Our Student President's Council is comprised of our SGA presidents from each of our universities and community colleges within the system. And being part of this Student President's Council has really provided me the unique opportunity to engage with student leaders across our system on a regular basis and to truly use their knowledge as one of my greatest resources in fulfilling my often daunting task of being the sole voice of the 200,000 plus students in our system. During my 2 terms, I've often called on the knowledge and advice of our student presidents. Each of them has their own unique perspective that they're able to add to my job, and often when faced with difficult decisions, they're the best resource I can go to. Each one has been able to guide me in my decision making and has really taught me that the greatest ability we have as board members is the ability to listen effectively and to learn from those that we serve. Today, I'm delighted to have with me, in addition to our other student presidents who are observing today, 4 members of our Student President's Council that are going to share some of the accomplishments and challenges we've experienced in the area of student success. And Derek Demirin is a student at Chattanooga State studying mass communications and plans to graduate in May and continue on to one of our universities in the TBR system. Devontae Johnson is a biology major at Tennessee State, planning to pursue dentistry once he completes his degree in May. Mike Rainier is a finance major, will be going on to serve in a one-year appointment as a leadership consultant for his national fraternity after graduation. And Rebecca Reeves is a psychology student at Dyersburg State, graduating in May and transferring to the University of Memphis Lambeth campus. So each of our panelists is going to share with you their individual student perspective and some of the strengths and improvements that they see pertaining to student success and retention. And then at the end, I'm going to open the floor to questions from each of you. I know that often I've heard that it's been quite some time since you've taken your last college course, so I want you to utilize... I want you to utilize this opportunity to get a current student perspective. Things may have changed a little bit, so use this resource as much as I have. And now I'm going to turn the floor over to Devontae Johnson from TSU to start us off.
Definitely. Thank you again. I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity once again to be able to address such a distinguished crowd as yourself. Once again, my name is Devontae Johnson. I'm the SGA president for Tennessee State University. And the first thing I want to talk about, the main accomplishment or the main thing that has been focused on is advisement at our institution. Advisement has took a great opportunity to improve. We have a lot of dynamic changes. Our first-year students, there's been several revisions to advisement for our first-year students. They all have you're demanded to, the advisor and mentor relationship is extremely improved. Advisors have now taken a role of more of a mentorship aspect instead of, being demanded to, address these students. And I feel like that's one of the main objectives to having student success is advisors looking at this opportunity to improve students and take them to the next level. So that's kind of been one of the main objectives that we've seen. And this has been improved by the advisor track, as well as making the advisement center easily accessible to students. Previously, the advisement center was, on the third floor of a building where, students weren't, as easily, attainable for students. So now the advisement center is in an area that's, high traffic. There's a lot of marketing around it, and students are, more receptive to it. In regards to an area of improvement, we have been looking at the Emerging Leaders Program. I'm aware this program is in other systems. This program is in the system, and they're at other institutions, but at Tennessee State University, that's a program that I definitely feel would increase the high caliber student competition. An Emerging Leaders Program gives students an opportunity it's also a recruiting tool, gives students, high caliber students, an opportunity to compete against each other to improve any type of deficiencies they have outside of academic. They then get the opportunity to work on personal development, as well as developing relationships to improve future successes. So I definitely want to say that Emerging Leaders Program is something that I feel like should be established across the board for TBR institutions.
Well, good morning. My name is Derek Dameron. I'm student president at Chattanooga State. It is an honor to be here with you guys today. I want to share with you guys a little bit of personal experience and a little bit of observation as well that I've made in this past year and a half of being active in our student government at school. The biggest struggle that I had my very first semester at Chattanooga State was I didn't know where anything was. I opted for the online orientation as opposed to the on-campus orientation, and that was much to my fault. I got on campus my first day, and the only building that I could find, because it was one of the only 2 videos that loaded, was the library. I recognized it from the video, and so I went there, and I would go to class. I would go to the library. Where's this room? Okay, it's down here. All right. go find that room, back to the library, I need to find this room. And that was how I spent my first day on campus, actually my first week on campus. And so what we've done this past year is we've redone our on-campus orientation. But when I took over as student president, we were still in the system of basically going into our auditorium and sitting for about 3.5 to 4 hours, being shown slideshows and hearing people speak, and then we'd have a break for pizza, and that was it. This past year, we have redone it to where it is more. What basically how it goes is you come on campus and you're broken up into different groups depending on what your concentration is. So, for example, if you're a mass comm student, you're in a group of mass comm students. If you're a pre-med, you're in a group of pre-meds. And what this does is it kind of creates community within your division already. I mean, these are a lot of people that you're going to be having classes with just because you're in the same concentration. And so already you have a sense of belonging, which is going to help you invest in your education and complete. And then also what we do is we tour them around campus. The different sessions, there's 4 different sessions, and they're all in different parts of the campus. So not only do you get to meet other students, fellow classmates, but you also get to see the whole entire campus. And we have each one is focused on a different aspect of the college experience. So you'll have one about academic success. You'll have a session on extracurriculars that are available in our college, and so on and so forth. And basically, having these students already in a place where they feel like they belong and they can see the different opportunities that are available to them, they're more likely to invest. Statistically, it's shown that students that are applying their education as they're learning it are more likely to complete than students who are just coming and learning and not necessarily doing anything with it. And so this gives them the opportunity to complete. And, for example, my first semester, I had no clue that we had clubs and organizations on campus. I didn't know that we had 35 active clubs on campus. But I got this letter from this thing called Phi Theta Kappa, and I had no clue what that was either. But it seemed like a great idea, so I joined, and then I ended up meeting a member of our student government. Then I asked questions about it, and so on and so forth. And so in this past orientation process, I met one of our senators, and she was in my orientation group. Another thing that we do is we actually have students lead the orientation groups, either active students at Chat State or people that have graduated that are still in college. And so again, you have someone that you can identify with and ask questions for, and we kind of show them, this is what you need to be looking out for and concentrating on and so forth. And I was actually able to talk to one of our senators about student government, and she applied to be a senator. She ran. She was elected, and she's running for president next week. So there again, it's the whole being able to identify with your education. And that's what we try to start straight from orientation. And I have seen, the 300 students that we had on campus orientation, I see them around campus. They're still there. They're still active. They're getting involved in clubs. And it's a completely different experience that they're having than what I had, where it was delayed because I had no clue what our campus offered. So I very much believe in on-campus orientation. I think that's something that TBR-wide we should be looking into revamping and restructuring to where it's a lot more where the students come in and they have in front of them, everything available, and they can identify and have a place and are going to plug in.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Ashley, for inviting me here today. I'm very humbled to be here representing Austin Peay State University. Once again, my name is Mike Rainier, and thank you guys for letting us come here and just share kind of a student perspective on what's going on our campuses. So at Austin Peay, we have some flagship programs that have gained some national recognition, which is pretty incredible. But one thing I want to touch on that has definitely received some recognition, but is definitely something that really hits home for students is our freshman seminar courses. At Austin Peay, we call it the APSU 1000 course. Some campuses call it the university course or something to that nature. But just kind of give you guys an overview of what APSU 1000 is on our campus. It is an interdisciplinary course which provides students with basically a foundation for success and to help them get acclimated to campus. So kind of an overview, like I said, the model that we have is required for students with less than 12 credit hours and is encouraged for students that are transferring to Austin Peay. So the class is 1 credit hour, counts for 1 credit, and you meet once a week for, it's like about an hour, I think. Some classes I think are an hour and a half, and there are 4 types of structures. There are discipline specific, so somebody that's a business major wants to stay in their discipline in their APSU 1000 course can enroll in that course. There's interest, so if you might be an undecided major and you don't know what you want to do yet, you can choose a discipline specific major APSU 1000 course to attend. There's conditional and there's also general. Conditional courses actually meet twice a week just to give them that extra support that they need. So these courses are taught by not only faculty members, but also administration on campus with kind of some diverse experiences, basically representing, all academic disciplines. Classes are also supported by students. They're called peer mentors at Austin Peay. And peer mentors are basically exactly what their name intends, is they're a mentor for these students. So I know my personal experience and tons of my classmates have kind of raved that, that mentor has been a significant impact on getting them involved on campus and getting them involved in all kinds of activities outside of the classroom. The other thing I wanted to touch on that we've seen some pretty incredible success on recently is student blocks. And student blocks are a bundle of 3 or more classes that consist of about 20 students. Currently, our freshman class, I think, it's 25% of students are enrolled in these block classes. So, kind of the purpose of these 2 programs are, kind of how Derek mentioned, is building a real sense of community. And also, I think more importantly, kind of developing that that sense of support group that you have around you. You're seeing the same students every day in a block class, or every week you're meeting with that APSU 1000 course, and you have the same students that are there that you can ask questions to, and you always have people to rely on. And another thing is just, to get acclimated to campus. As Derek mentioned again, that's a huge thing for students is they might be coming to class and then leaving and not really getting acclimated to our campus properly, figuring out how to use the writing lab or figuring out, all the resources the library offers, things like that. So that's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about today and kind of give you guys an overview of. And I think the room for improvement would be, why aren't we seeing this on all of our campuses? I think a lot of four-year institutions especially are working towards this, probably have a plan, part of their quality enhancement plan, perhaps to, implement this on their campus. But I think that this would be an amazing opportunity for community college to have a similar processes. So that's what I have. And you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me after.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Reeves, and I am from Dyersburg State Community College. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to meet and greet with you today. I am considered a non-traditional student at my college, and I think one of the great things we're doing there is offering non-traditional student nights. And what we will do at Dyersburg State is we will send out postcards to people that we feel are non-traditional and have special nights that they can come in, meet with advisors. We also offer child care. I help with that. I'm a student ambassador at our college, so they let me help with that. And we will have instructors there that they can meet with. We will also give them tours of the campus. And I also introduce myself personally to them, so if they have any questions, they will know how to get a hold of us. And we also have members of different organizations there, such as Phi Theta Kappa, different clubs that'll be there to help integrate them also into our college, not just our high school seniors, which of course our high school seniors are very important, but I think it's different for a non-traditional student coming in. I know it was for me. It was very intimidating to come in with a lot of younger people, and I think when we have those nights, they have the ability to meet other people who are like them, who are coming in married, children, have jobs, have career, that are trying to come back to school and get more education. The main thing I see for improvement at our college, if you ask any student there, they will tell you our math program. When I started, I was in a developmental course. I started at one of the lower points in that course. It was it was instructed. A teacher was there. Everything was done in the classroom. I actually went to the next year, and it was a teacher, but you were required to be in a math lab for a certain amount of time to do your homework and your test. The next year, it actually has completely changed to where you go to math class 1 day a week, and everything is done in the math lab. You're required to have so many hours in there, and you are required all your tests, and you don't get that personal instruction from a teacher. Everything is done with math videos on computer. And a lot of students that I've spoke with feel they're not getting everything they need out of that. They feel the math videos aren't enough. And of course, there are people inside the math lab that are there to help you if you have problems, but you have to think sometimes there are 70 people in a math lab with maybe 4 assistants there to help you. So that seems to be the main concern we have at our college, is the way that has transitioned into almost like an online course. You're still at the college, but it completely changed. So that seems to be the main thing. So thank you.
Thank you each for sharing your in-depth knowledge with us. I know that we each have numerous topics that we would have loved to cover, but given the time frame that we have, we want to go ahead and open up the floor for any questions you might have of our student presidents, of myself maybe. This is really just your opportunity to get more student insight on some specific areas that maybe you're interested in knowing more about. So you can focus on some of the topics that they covered, but really I'm giving you free reign. If there's any specific area that maybe you need more information about, feel free to ask, and hopefully one of us will have an answer for you.
Questions?
Regent Varlin?
I'd love to ask a question. First, I want to say to Derek, my recurring nightmare is not being able to find my class the day I have a test. I'm almost 60 years old, and I'm still having that nightmare. What's that about? I mean, you said that, and I was like, oh, my gosh. So that's sort of a funny thing, that first day. I was very interested in what Devontae had to say, and all of you, but when it was talking about mentors and advisors, and I'd like to hear a little bit from each of you. The question is, if we got it just right, what would it look like? In other words, what's the perfect mentor advisor in your mind?
Devontae, you want to start?
Yeah, I definitely a mentor and advisor that was in your field specifically, because a lot of mentors and advisors, they're in your department per se, but they might not know what you want to do, you know. So I'll say somebody that's in your career specifically understands, you know, what exactly you want to do, as well as a combination of a mentor that's extremely personable, because, you know, becoming a student and, you know, careers and leadership and, you know, success, that's extremely stressful as well. So having somebody you can also, you know, talk to about, you know, other things that are going on as well. So a combination between, you know, both of those things. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I definitely can definitely agree with that. My academic advisor, who is also a former reporter and knows all about mass communications and what's going on, it's so much. There's so much more knowledge there to learn, because you're not just learning academic stuff, you're also learning what you need in life, and what you're going to need outside of the workplace to make it through your job in the workplace. There's a lot of different things that go on outside of just the media world that will affect you. There's things that you need to know. There's legal things that you need to know that you might not necessarily get from your media law class, and the different situations that you may not be ready for that's not taught in the book. So I definitely agree. Having a mentor/advisor is very helpful, and I actually sought mine out. My advisor originally was not even in my department, and so I sought out someone in my department because I needed, for the exact same reason, I wanted to have somebody that knew the field I was going into, and it's been very, very beneficial.
Yeah, so definitely a great question to ask. I think in a perfect world, I think that you know, Tennessee higher education advising would look something like you're in the business department, for example. So you're in that major, and there are one or two advisors that you get to choose from. So I was talking to Ashley about this. Kind of similar to a primary care physician, where if you don't like your primary care physician, you can ask to see if another one is available, and if they want to accept you, then they can accept you, and that might be a better relationship there. I feel like a lot of students that I've heard from, they don't get to choose their advisor. They're kind of, and it might be a funding issue, but like I said, in a perfect world, I think having an option of at least two, deciding between two people of, hey, this person doesn't really relate to me. I don't like the career advice or direction this person is pointing me towards. Kind of having an option to choose, if that makes sense, I think is definitely would be amazing.
I have to agree with the gentleman beside me. My very first semester coming into Dyersburg State, my advisor was the baseball coach. And I'm a psychology major. And with psychology, I'm sure you can imagine that is a very broad spectrum. And he's, what would you like to do? So I want to go into psychology. Okay. You take English. And I said, well, what about that? Well, I'm not real sure about that. But now, of course, since that I've been in, I have changed my advisor to a professor there that has a doctorate in psychology. And it's helped a lot to be able to go to him and feel comfortable enough to be able to go to him and ask questions about future career choices, what I want to do in the field of psychology. But definitely, I think that would need to be looked at a little more, because he was just as confused as I was, honestly, coming in. So I think definitely having someone who is in your field that you want to go to is the best way to go.
And just a little comment I want to add on that. You'll notice that our advisors really handle two specific tasks. The first being helping you to register for courses, and the second being serving as a mentor, which several of you had talked about. We are kind of transitioning to those one-stop advisement centers within a central location on our campuses, which is really great for ensuring that students are registering for the right courses. But we want to make sure that we're not losing sight of that mentorship relationship and how much that can also really benefit a student in progressing in their career and learning more about opportunities on their campuses.
So is what you're saying that there might even be something that looks like that you've got people that understand the class part of signing up, registrars, that may not be the same person as an advisor who's more of a mentor?
Yes, it might be a twofold a process with two individuals serving in each of those capacities, as opposed to one trying to handle both those responsibilities for a very high number of students. A lot of times they focus so much on the registration portion of their responsibility that they're unable to really foster that mentorship relationship that students so much need.
I want to pick up, Derek, on your comment about looking at the orientation through a visual and then being on campus, but I want to take it in a different direction. We sit here and wrestling with how much do you start pushing toward online courses, and how much do you get the Western Governors, things like that, versus that real on-campus experience. And I'm interested from you all, how important is it for us to make sure we don't lose that balance? So that we have that mix, so that we look at what you're doing is not just information, to get a grade, but it really is building a lifetime experience and learning. So I'd like to hear how you all see this, and if you believe that both of those have to be part of. There is a place for online, but where does the campus piece fit in as well?
That's a great question. And I actually am in a work study with our online department at Chattanooga State as well. And from my perspective, especially in thinking of Western Governors, which is coming in, I guess really it depends on what stage of life you're in. I think the on-campus experience, the biggest benefit of that is being able to plug in and have all the extra educational opportunities that you would get through a club or organization that's on campus. But if you're already working in your field, maybe if you're a non-traditional student and you're already working in your field, you're already kind of applying your education. We have a lot of non-traditional students that come to college to advance their place in their company. And so I that would be, in my opinion, I guess what kind of a Western Governors and an online education would would cater to. Someone that's already working and may not have time to come on campus and be involved with the clubs and organizations that are on campus. But if you are, someone like us who maybe is only working part-time and you have time to invest in a club organization, our clubs and organizations at Chat State go all across the country to different conferences and events and have a lot of opportunities to apply what we're learning. Because, working at Walmart, I don't have the opportunity to apply my education in radio broadcasting or whatever. So I think that's kind of would be from my perspective, I think that's kind of where the criteria is what stage of life you're in. I think kind of caters to what type of education you're going to need, whether it be online or on campus.
I think that we found also that there's really a nice balance to doing both online courses and on-campus courses, to have an experience on both sides of it as opposed to being strictly online. A lot of times you lose those opportunities, but maybe it does give you more of a convenience factor. So bridging the gap by having students that have both of those experiences would be really beneficial.
Are we giving you the resources, though, meaning the technology, so you feel comfortable when you do something online? Are we supporting you so you say, yep, I can do this, or are there other things we need to do from a technology standpoint to make sure if we're pushing you online that we're giving you the tools so you've got the access that you need?
Yes, there's, the D2L system is great. It's awesome. I know there are some glitches with it just from working in our online department, and we're also at Chat State experimenting with different other technologies such as Nearpod and Lodestar and Jetstar. Going through and just trying to figure out which one is the best and what we're going to start creating our courses with. We find in our students that a lot of times the issue with not necessarily getting the education out of it that they're looking for is going back to how the course is being taught. Some courses are conducive to online and they translate very well, and then others you have to kind of think outside the box and get a little creative on to be able to explain the concepts of the course. And so a lot of that falls on us when we're creating the course and working with the teachers and trying to figure out ways to do that. And so we're pretty much always constantly experimenting with different programs and different softwares that will be able to translate well into the online world. But as far as the D2L goes, the update that came through last year or this year is awesome. Getting the text messages to our phones and all that kind of stuff is great. It's pretty awesome. But like I said, I know there are some glitches with it that they're trying to work out. But overall, the experience on it, for me anyway, has been pretty great.
Regent Humphrey, you've got in order here. We've got lots of interests, which is fabulous.
Okay.
But just so you know,
I will let you drive our order.
No, it's all right. I'm just trying to help you out here. If I've watched correctly, you have Regent Thomas, Regent Roddy, and then Regent Freeman.
Love all the interests.
Okay.
Am I on?
You're on.
You all are all leaders of student government, and there are others out in the audience. And the few years, several years I've been on this board, we are called upon to vote on student fees and tuition. And from time to time, we get the results of student referendums. And I remember one at East Tennessee about whether to have a football team, and the student body was opposed to that by a small margin. MTSU, the student body did not want a new parking garage. We eventually approved the football team at East Tennessee, and we also approved the parking garage at Middle Tennessee. My concern is that student government, and I was involved in student government at my undergraduate school several years ago. And
Last course wasn't very recent.
But my question is, and a brief answer from all four of you, is how, I don't want to say relevant, but how much should this board depend on student referendums on these issues that particularly involve fees and tuition?
So student-wide votes.
Nobody wants to answer that.
I'll actually tackle that first. We recently did a student referendum at Tennessee Tech to establish a $100 fee for our new fitness center construction. And that was something that was met with a lot of student concern, because the first thing that a traditional student at our campus sees is the fee associated. They don't really look into the ramifications of what that fee could eventually mean for our institution. I made the comment to our president, actually, when discussing that student referendum, that maybe we should have our high school students that plan on attending Tech voting on these things rather than our current student body, because oftentimes the students that will actually benefit from these programs are not the students that are currently able to vote on them. So I know that it's kind of a joke to have incoming students vote, but I think our student governments do a great job at looking into really the overall benefit and seeing the positive in these student fees that maybe get some negative response. So you'll see a lot of times we have unanimous votes from our student government, but then less than successful votes within our entire student body.
Exactly.
I have spoke to several students on our campus about the possibility of our student fee going up. And of course, like you said, the first thing is, oh no, that's more money. But I've tried to explain to them a lot of problem we have at our colleges. Everyone says there's not enough going on. And I've tried to talk to students that would require a little bit of a raise in the student fees, and I actually got a lot of positive response from that. And I think it's because our student fee is $3 right now a semester. So I think if we go at a smaller $4, $5, I don't think it's such a huge. Now, if we decided to go from $3 to $100, I'm sure it would be like, oh my goodness, we can't do that. But I got a lot of positive response in the possibility of raising that student fee, in turn having more student activities on campus. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that, at least what I've seen on our campus and talked to students about this in the past is, students want to see something that's going to benefit them. They're going to have those selfish desires where if I'm not going to be here in 4 years and we're building a parking garage, I'm not going to vote for that. So I think that it's having a balance between, what does the campus need? What are the 2 or 3 things that, the majority of students, talk about or complain about to student government? And I think going back to, kind of what you asked of student government's job is to, inform our students, run a campaign of, hey, why exactly are we doing this and how is this going to benefit you? I think that kind of falls onto student leaders to, let their peers know all the information.
Definitely. And I'll say the same thing. Just having a combination of, if there's going to be an increase, also having an explanation behind it, because students also, they're always cost conscious. They're always thinking about it's difficult to pay for tuition now. Any type of increase, I might not be able to handle that. Even if it is $25, even if it is $100. So a combination of, if there's an increase, having a good brief as well as descriptive explanation.
Are you good,
I'm
Regent
done.
Thomas? All right, thank you.
One of the major priorities of our board is college completion.
Yeah.
And as well as the state, in terms of the drive to 55, to have more students graduating rather than just attending. And while I'm sure the orientations are very helpful, as well as having a mentor and an advisor, my question, particularly in regards to freshmen as well as non-traditional students, is student retention. And so my question is, are there processes within each of your campuses to assist students before they get in trouble academically or get behind academically, that they not wait until the grades are about to be posted or the final exam in order to get help? Is there a process to make their advisor aware that they need help, or the professor in the class where they're having trouble so they can be mentored and assisted or tutored or sent to a math lab prior to being in deep trouble. Because we want them to graduate.
Yeah, I think that, obviously we already talked about a couple different processes on our campus that help with student retention, especially freshmen. But, one thing we do on our campus, we have academic alert, which, midterms come along, a student's not, doing poorly in a class, they are going to be alerted and their advisor is also going to be alerted right away so they can get help as soon as possible.
That's good.
And another step to that includes following student attendance of these classes. We find that if students are actually going to their courses, then their odds of being successful are much greater. So I know that a lot of our campuses are establishing a role within our enrollment offices to kind of red flag students that maybe are not attending their courses, so there can be an intervention prior to the end of the semester when they would have naturally just failed the course.
And that would include athletes also?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We are doing that at Dyersburg State. Every class that you attend now does have a roll sheet. Everything, all class attendance is taken. We also do the midterm grades where letters are sent. And I've noticed a lot, too, with faculty. We seem to have a better repertoire with faculty now where they are coming to students and talking to them and saying, I understand you're having trouble. What can we do to work on this? I've noticed that with several faculty members now that they are doing that, which is great, I think.
I think also attendance is one of those things that we used to never really require of our college courses. You think of enrolling in college as being your step into adulthood, and you shouldn't be required to do anything that you choose not to do. But really, with the change in nature, with the drive to 55, and needing to have more of a hands-on approach to student retention, it's really necessary that we're following these student attendance records and making sure that they are attending class. I think the adulthood is really being extended for a lot of students these days, and 18 doesn't really solidify that you're ready to make all of your choices, so having some more guidance there is beneficial.
Regent Humphrey, you have Regent Freeman and Regent Duckett.
So you go to 2 years of community college, or you go through 4 years of at the university, or 5 years, whatever the number is. Are you then qualified to find a job? Have you learned enough information that'll make you valuable enough to find a job? Or are you hearing some of your friends and relatives who are going through 4 years of school or 2 years of community college and not able or not qualified, were not taught what they need to know to be a productive citizen? Or to become an entrepreneur? Maybe not a job, but entrepreneur would be good too.
And I'll address that. And that's kind of why I really wanted to focus on emerging leader programs, and as well as the mentor and advisor relationship, because those relationships actually help you depict what you really want to do, and how to develop those key skill sets outside of the classroom. Because academically you could be sound, but there could be many areas that you're lacking in due to just no repetition in those areas. So those emerging leader programs across the board will give students an opportunity to kind of work on assets and skills outside of the classroom, public speaking, interviewing. Because you can be, like I said, you can have the great, the best GPA, but certain things that speaking wise or skill set wise, you're not able to compete with other students. So some type of program similar to University 1000, but encompasses leadership skills and being able to align with people in your profession to get that transparent view on what exactly the real world looks like.
So are your friends finding jobs?
Majority of my friends are finding jobs. Yeah.
At Dyersburg State, we are actually offering career counseling. In our writing centers, we actually have someone there who is proficient in writing resumes, who will come and help you with resume writing. I will be transferring to a four-year university, but I feel what I have learned and the experiences I've received at Dyersburg State, if I was in my life where I needed to go into the workforce, that I could. And Dyersburg State also offers a wonderful nursing program. And we have found that a large percentage of our nurses are graduating and going right into the workforce, right straight into it. So,
Mike?
And at Chattanooga State, we also we kind of focus on hands-on learning a lot too in some of our classes, especially in the media program that I'm in. My one semester of radio class, I ran a radio show, and so I feel like I could walk into any radio station and sit down at the board and run it because I've had the experience. I know what how to adjust levels and program a show and the software that they use and that kind of thing. Another thing too that's beneficial is that we have station managers that will actually come in and kind of take on that mentoring aspect. They'll come in and they'll say, down at 96.5, they're gonna have you format your show this way, and down at so and so they're gonna have you format your show this way. And so having that knowledge going into it is very beneficial and very helpful. And so we see that a lot at Chattanooga State, and we have one of the highest job placements in the state.
Yeah, I think the culture of the graduates that I know, or the upcoming graduates, is, I don't ever hear people overly talking about how they cannot find a job. There's definitely some conversations I've had with people. It might not be the job they wanted, but a lot of times it's an entry-level job in a career that they're obviously going to work their way up. But I think kind of tagging on to your question, I think the answer to, if there was a case in which on a university students were not being able to find a job or were not qualified, I think that what would change that is, creating more transformative experiences on campus. I mean, obviously, getting involved in student government and different things, there's hundreds of student organizations on each campus, but I think really having internships, having a huge push for actually getting them involved in real work experience and letting them have those opportunities, after their freshman year. I mean, I know a lot of universities, you really can't even get class credit for an internship until you're a junior or senior. So why not open those opportunities up to younger students? For example, after my freshman year, I got an internship, and that is a company. If I wanted to get a job there, I could, because I made that connection, and I had a diverse experience I could not get in the classroom.
I have a question of curiosity first, and then a comment. My question of curiosity: how many of you are native Tennesseans? And the reason I ask that is, I want to thank Ashley and all of you for being a part of the panel. All of you have made me extremely proud of the products that the Tennessee Board of Regents are preparing to be the future leaders of the community. And you are individuals that I would personally be proud to recommend and present in any form, anywhere. So I just wanted to extend my sincere appreciation for the time and effort that you have put in preparing to be a part of the panel, as well as to thank Ashley as the student regent for coordinating this event. And I think you all have done a tremendous job today.
Thank you very much.
Regent Stites.
One of the problems we're facing is that there's a great deal of attrition between the freshman and sophomore year. And that's when most kids will drop out of the college experience, if they're going to. I want to get your opinion about how some of the other universities are doing resolving this issue to some extent. And they have a welcome week prior to school starting. Are any of y'all involved in a welcome week? Does your campus have that?
Yes, sir.
So all of you do that? You come to the school ahead of the class times and you learn. Do you think that helps build community among the students, and is that something that could be improved on so we have less attrition? Most of the time when you ask kids why they're leaving, they just never connected, and several of you have mentioned that. If we could find a way for them to become more connected to the university and to their friends at the university, they might stay. They may not, but they'd have a better chance. It's when they don't feel they're a part of it is when they're most likely to leave. Is that accurate?
You really have a short window of opportunity, I think, to engage the freshman student. And those welcome weeks are a really beneficial way of doing that within that time frame. I know that funding for some of our programs at our community colleges maybe aren't at the level that they're able to be at our universities, so they're not able to do some of the programs that really would allow them to engage students in the way that we're able to do it at the university setting.
Are those programs currently run by the students? Or are they run by faculty or paid staff?
Yeah, our orientations are actually a part of that welcome week, and it's kind of a two-part. The first part of the week is the orientations and having the current students engaging in the freshman students coming in and kind of helping them get their feet on the ground. And then the second part is actually during class time. It'll start on Monday or whenever classes start, and then we'll have kind of a big block party on campus, and then that way you have the mix of new and current students coming together for, a band, games, whatever. And so we see kind of the overall week experience kind of for the freshmen going, okay, I'm coming onto campus, I'm getting information about the school, and then literally the next day I'm on campus and it's beginning, and here it is, and this is what I've learned, and they're applying it when it's fresh on their brain, so it's not like they're coming in, a month later and they've, forgotten where this was or that was, and they're mixing in, and they're already they're basically throwing them in the water and throwing them into campus life and letting them kind of see everything all at once, and so they can kind of formulate in their minds what they're going to need to do to take that next step and to get plugged into the campus.
Now, Derek, did you go through a welcome week in your school?
No, sir. I was an online orientation, and I was not on campus until the first day of classes.
Devontae, did you go through the welcome week?
Yes, sir, I did. And our welcome week is ran by student ambassadors, and these student ambassadors are the most energetic people, the campus offers, and they also point people as well when it comes to your first day of class. If you remember a student ambassador from welcome week, they can send you in the right direction. They can help you out with different things. They're basically MVPs of TSU that are extremely energetic. So they know about everything. They know everybody, and that's like it gives you that family atmosphere as well, because they're so energetic about campus and campus life that you just have to match their level of intensity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike or Rebecca, do you have anything to add?
Well, at my two-year college, we mainly do a orientation day. We make sure to have faculty there that teach the core curriculum, because as most incoming freshmen, that is the main classes they will be taking, and of course other faculty. We do a tour. We do them in small groups with different people. Our student ambassadors are also there. They are all introduced. All our faculty are introduced, and we also have kind of, like he was talking about, a big event that first week where we do a cookout and we try to get everyone involved. But with student ambassadors, we also have our shirts that say we're student ambassadors, and that entire week we will be all over the campus in different buildings just helping students. Your class is this way, because it is intimidating to have to ask someone, I'm lost, or where am I going? So I've kind of learned, after you can kind of spot those people who are kind of very nervous, and I'll say, can I help you find it? Sure. And I've noticed that some of those people I've met, I've became really good friends with. And I think it does help the students to be in big groups. I think, it helps to break the ice and get them where they can, form those lasting friendships that will keep them going through college.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, is it faculty or is it students that are really making the difference, keeping these students on campus? And I think, at least my experience is 9 times out of 10, it's students that keep students there. It's your ambassadors, it's your peer mentors that are investing in these students. I mean, the amount of human capital that they have to take the time to really get to know these students and to leave an impact on them, to inspire them. I mean, I can tell you personally that I would have probably not have joined a single student organization if it were not for, maybe 1 or 2 students that, basically told me about their experience and how it helped them in the future. So.
And I just want to add to this from personal experience. I know during my welcome week, I actually met several individuals from a specific organization that I later became a member of. I know that oftentimes students that come on campus are so inundated with all that's going on that they say, I'm going to wait. I'm going to join an organization my second semester while I'm at the institution. Biggest mistake they could possibly make. The decision to put off getting engaged in your campus until later ultimately means that they will never be engaged in their campus. So if we can really find a way to encourage students to join these organizations, seek involvement early on so that they actually have support systems, we are going to see, I think, so much benefit in the type of students we have, and see more students that are able to continue on into their sophomore year and ultimately graduate. So I think we're reaching our 11 o'clock hour. Did we have one final question?
It's not a question, it's just an interesting comment, because I'm the mother of 4 children and the last one's in college. And I was very involved in my campus when I was in college. My husband was more involved in the academics, which is why he has this amazing job. But as a parent, it's pretty funny to hear you say that, because I can remember him telling me, don't you get involved in anything that first semester. You just need to focus on your studies. So it's sort of an interesting, that just came to me as a very interesting thing. I totally agree with what you're saying, because I think that's, but maybe we need to start thinking as parents, how do we influence and talk about that, the important part of being involved in campus. Of course, that can go way too far one way or the other, but it's very interesting to hear you say that, because a lot of times that's not what you're hearing your parents say, is it?
There's definitely another part to the college experience outside the classroom, outside academics. And you'll see from our awesome student leaders that we have here today that are all involved in student government. I would probably just go on a limb and say that their experience at their institutions has just been heightened so much just because of their involvement. It's made a difference also in their academics and just enabled them to be successful all around. So thank you each for participating. Thank you to our Student President's Council members for being here. Thank you, board members, everyone in the audience. This has just been an awesome time for us to share our student perspective. We love talking about our schools, and we love having an opportunity to share with you some of the great things that are going on and some of our take on maybe areas that we could work a little harder in. So if you have any questions later on, I think everyone will be joining us for lunch, so be sure to take some time to pick their brains even more.
Good. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you all. To Randy or the Chancellor, any closing comments?
No, just thank y'all for being here. It's incredible. Yeah,
And also
very
a
good.
special thanks to Randy. He definitely is our fearless leader when it comes to the Student President's Council. He works so hard to organize our meetings and to give us unique experiences to make sure that we're successful on our campuses in fulfilling our goals.
That's great. A round of applause for Randy. Thank you for all you do. You all are exceptional. We thank you very much for sharing this insight, and I thank my fellow board members for the great questions posed this morning too. It's food for thought for all of us, and helps to clarify and verify some of the things that we're working on as a system. And to Quentin and Michael and Andrew and Nelson, thank you also for taking time out of your day to be with us too. Regent Humphrey, I just want to say to you, you talked about the daunting task of being the sole voice of students. You have taken on a daunting task and hit it out of the park for 2 years straight. We are honored to know you. Thank you.